Okay, so Sébastien, just a bit more about this. Is this still private or?
It's public, but it's beta tagged. It's not.
Yeah, it's
It's not.
tagged beta, yes.
Not only is it tagged beta, but it's not the recommended download yet. Just waiting for people to try it and validate it works, and
Okay, but
so
we can ask people to
works on my
download
machine.
this and try it and report any last minute
Yes.
problems that they encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been trying it on my own site on my dev machine for a while now, and as far as I'm concerned, everything works. Who else has tried it?
I could not try the Azure package because right now I can't create storage, new storage accounts. I don't know why. It's just looping. I can't get to create storage accounts, so I will wait. It was working last week. I haven't changed anything, so we'll see. But I will try again today.
Okay.
3 downloads already. Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't done any one.
Do we have release notes?
Nothing right now.
Yeah, we should work together on the release notes sometime today, I suppose.
Bertrand, I have two questions. Are you writing notes now for this meeting?
Who, me?
Yeah. And the other one is, can we talk about the localization after the meeting? You know, about
After the meeting?
or I don't know, a little bit later maybe. You know, to upgrade the strings on the localization tool.
Okay. I'm not sure I'll be available today for that, but yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll see.
So what's new in 1.7? There are some changes in the packages. So in what is shipped actually. So if you look at the web package, okay, which is this one. In previous versions, we used to shipping only a few of the packages, like some of them were just on the gallery and some were core packages, not the core modules, but core packages. Now everything is in the web version. So for instance, you didn't have the search and the index. Now they are there by default. You don't need to download them from the gallery. They are just there. They are not enabled, but they are there. What is enabled by default and was not is now taxonomies, workflows, and the big change is OutputCache is enabled by default. Just so that people don't say it's slow by default. It will be fast by default, and you can make it slow if you want. I think that's it. So media picker, rules, and list are not shipped in this package. They will be on the gallery. So the big difference being media and media picker are no more shipped. They are in the source code package for upward compatibility, so that if you have any running website, it will still work, even if you use the source code version, and you can, because there were bug fixes, you can still use it in 1.7, it's okay. And the upgrade mechanism is optional. You can still work with the old media management and the old media picker in 1.7. You don't have to enable library and media processing. So which means if you upgrade to 1.7, if you upgrade from 1.6 or previous version to 1.7, then media library is not enabled, media processing is not enabled. It's up to you to enable it, and optionally to upgrade all your media items to, well, all your media files to media items, and also optionally to migrate all your media picker fields to media library fields. And maybe I should demonstrate how it works for the upgrade.
Just 1 second. So you said that rules and lists are they are not in the package?
They are not in the web package, no. In the gallery
But they are
package.
in the source.
They are in the source
solution folder.
Yes, and they are also in the, that's also a new change. So all the deprecated modules are in Modules.Deprecated on the solution here. So they are still in the source code. They will compile and you can still use it. They are in the same location, but in Visual Studio they are kind of tagged deprecated, so you know about it. You could easily remove them from Visual Studio or delete them from your solution if you want. Those changes I have said are about the default recipes, which will enable OutputCache, workflows, and taxonomy by default. Okay, the only change.
We should also talk about the upgrade module.
Can show it. I can show it. So desktop. No, I have, I think, documents, my websites, or chart CMS app data. So this is a website running on 1.6 with some taxonomy menu item, some content picker item, some media picker items. So everything which has to be migrated in 1.7 if you want. So if I take this website and I put it in my running here source, new folder, data, I copy pasted sites. Okay, so if I run now, so let's say I have a 1.6 website and I just upgrade in place with 1.7. It will be ugly by default because this stage OutputCache is not enabled, and contrib.taxonomies was enabled on 1.6. You see, so this was, for instance, a widget with taxonomy. The menu is no more here because the content picker has moved to another module. So it's kind of broken because it's on 1.7. That's why you need to launch the upgrade process. So I go to admin. And I will first enable the upgrade module. So I go to module, and there is an upgrade module. Enable. Then I have here upgrade to 1.7. Okay, I click on this. We have the previous versions upgrade steps, and for 1.7 we have 3 different steps. The content picker, because we need to migrate the menu items in the navigation, because the content picker field and the content picker has been moved to a separate module. Taxonomies, because now we have OutputCache taxonomies in core, and because you might want to migrate from contrib.taxonomies to the OutputCache taxonomies. And media, because we have some media files to move and some media picker fields to move, again optionally. So if I start with this and I just click migrate, content picker menu items were migrated successfully, which means now if I go on the website, I can see my navigation. Okay, it's back. Then taxonomies. You need to enable OutputCache taxonomies in order to migrate contrib taxonomies. So you go to modules, and you because again it's optional. You could still work with contrib taxonomies if you don't want to move to OutputCache taxonomies. Here I want to move, so I click enable. you can disable the old contributor taxonomies at this point. I go to upgrade taxonomies. Now I can migrate. I click on migrate. Taxonomies were migrated successfully. And here is just a warning, because if you go back here, we tell you, hey, you have already migrated, don't try to migrate again. Okay. And if I go to my front end website, this is a query based on taxonomies, and this is a taxonomy, so you see everything's working. My taxonomy items, and this is a query, a widget query. So this has worked. I'm just scared that it doesn't work, but everything works. And now I can migrate the media. So what I have here is that I will create some media files, okay, and I will put it into the folder. Here, like there were some media items previously. Oh no, I have actually some media items to get from there, because I have media picker field. Where is this? Okay. So documents, my websites, this one, media, here, images. And then I go there, media, images. So the images from the previous website. So here at F5, it says you need to enable our child media library in order to migrate. Okay, so I will enable it. Media library, enable. At this moment, I have both the media library and the previous media module, which is now called media storage. I could disable media storage now. I go to upgrade, and now I can migrate media files. I just have 2 or 3 files. I click on it, and it says all media files have been processed. So now if I go on media, it didn't work. Did I have some? Did I copy them in the correct folder? Oh no, I didn't copy them in the correct folder. That's why. Again, so actually it's okay. You have 2 media files, 25 media in the library. Which is odd. I have to check that. It's not normal. There should be nothing in the library right now. So I click migrate. It has been processed, and if I go to media, I can see my 2 images, okay, and the folder which has been imported here, okay. And now what I can do is migrate the media picker fields. So I migrate them, okay. Should be a message. And now if I go to my content, I think one of them, yeah, this one had a media picker field, and now it's a media library field. Okay, now it's a media library field with only 1 media, so I don't have any add icon here. And on my website, this one is as display because there was no content, but there is no what is the content with the? I can just click view, and yeah, it's working. So the media now picker has been moved to a media library field. So at this point, you can disable the media and the media picker. So I can disable media, and I can disable media picker was disabled also because it was a dependency. And on my media, still works. Okay. And you can delete the modules if you want to. So that's it for the migration steps, and I need to understand why it says why it found 25 media files, media items. Why is that? I'll check that. It's not critical. There must be a reason.
The recipe journal, maybe they were handled as documents. There was an update about that. They might have been those files.
Oh, I'm not sure. I think I made a mistake in the query because I don't know. Oh, maybe it found those items. No, nothing to do with that. I don't know. I'll check. It's not critical. So with that, you got a 1.7 running website. I find it faster than 1.6.
I find the front end faster than 1.6. The admin, I'm not sure actually.
No, maybe not. But the front end, on my small test, it was faster, even with some queries. We'll see. Any question? So, Orchard. Can we upgrade from 1.5? You can upgrade from 1.5 to 1.6 and from 1.6 to 1.7. This is the recommended procedure, and it works. As I said 2 months ago, I was able to migrate from 1.0 to 1.6. So step by step again to 1.1, 1.2, and so on. And 1.5 to 1.6, I don't remember if there was anything strange. No, I think it was pretty easy. So yeah, so 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. You can try to shortcut it, but if it doesn't work, try again with the correct solution. So please try it, because if I have no feedback like it doesn't work, so you can find some bugs, it's okay, they won't be fixed unless they are critical. Or they will wait for 1.7.1, which can be very soon. Now we'll have different branches for features and bug fixes, so it will be easier to ship fixes. Everyone agrees. Okay, good.
Great. Thanks. Do we have any demos today?
Yeah. We have a new module.
Graph.
No, not graphs this time. But I could do something for next week, for example, regarding graphs.
Great. I won't be present next week.
Oh.
Oh yeah, next week I am at Chicago for the Monkey Space conference, and I will be presenting Orchard.
Sebastian.
Orchard.
Sebastian, how did your meeting with the Codeplex team go?
Great. I know what the future of Codeplex is. What else do I know? They agree on what you said. They are very interested into watching how we do triaging with Codeplex. What else? Yeah, I'm trying to think about what I can say, because actually it's an internal Microsoft meeting. So, but what I can say is that I think they're looking into adding more stuff into the edition, like for instance, when you type at someone, an alias into the discussion forum, you could have a notification if you're cited, and you could have also auto completion of people in the discussion, things like that. So to ease the writing of comments and everything like that. I think also they will add at some point some new stuff into the commenting on the pull request or make it easier to pull a request. And so that I think they agree with the feedback that you gave last week, and it will be better in the short term, in the long term. So we have to wait.
So yeah, because we talked about moving to Git and we talked about moving to GitHub. But
So Git is going on. So they have tried our repository on Git.
okay.
They have tried it locally and it worked well, even with our sub-repositories. This was one of my concerns, and they could keep the whole history. So this will be easy. So they are just waiting for us now to tell them, go move to Git, and they will migrate everything to Git, every branch, and all the history will be kept intact. So this will be nice. So I've tried it already. They have validated the repository.
Okay. Okay, great. No, Merrick, we're not. We did use submodules at some point, but we went away from them. But
Yes.
Sebastian's talking about preserving
History, yeah.
history from 9 months ago when we did have submodules.
Yeah, I was afraid it will prevent the migration with the whole history, and actually it's working, so it's nice.
Sub-repos, yeah, not modules. Oh, that's good. Okay.
I'm not sure I understand the question about subrepos here. We don't have subrepos anymore.
Yeah, he's saying. Well, Sebastian mentioned them because
Oh, in the history?
in
Yeah.
history.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it? Yeah. Does it matter?
No, maybe it will break the history, because I
Ah.
remember it was complex migration, and I had to. Yes, that's it. So we don't have the history for sub-repositories themselves, which is okay. We don't have them either in the current Mercurial project, but I was afraid to break the migration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, we need all the third-party modules that are in Codeplex under Mercurial should probably. I mean, it's up to the author to convert them or not.
They could also ask for conversion. They just have to send an email to Codeplex support, and they will convert it if they ask to.
Okay.
If you want to, because technically you don't have to.
Yeah. Sure.
As long as you publish on the gallery, there is no issue with you continuing with Mercurial.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want only one tool to maintain everything,
Yeah. Okay.
So when is this happening?
when we want, when we decide, we the people.
Okay, let's do it shortly after we release, which is this week.
Cool, yeah. We'll try that.
Well, yeah, we need to give people some time for their forks, or with the forks.
Oh yeah, we need to handle the forks. Yes.
accessible.
Yeah, we need to make backups of all the forks and pull requests, and everyone has to also make backups, because they won't be migrated; they will be lost. So it will be also a good way to clean everything.
Yeah, well, all you have to do is clone them, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
So we will have a backup of everything.
So should we clone all the forks that exist? And
I will definitely do it.
Okay.
Just because people will complain. What did you do with my fork? I get it. I give it back to you. And we can make it public, so we can make them public, because today they are public, so we can export them on a SkyDrive. And
Demo time?
At last. All right.
Go for
So the
We were
view
having fun.
is Orchard route permissions. Always called route permissions. The name is quite generic. It was chosen as a generic name. Really, what's inside now are URL permissions. And permissions you can specify with regular expression patterns. So I'm pretty sure I lost half of the audience now after saying regular expressions, but it's it's a nice thing for testing matching, of course. So what you get after you download that module and enable it is a content type called URL permission. Now you can give it a title, of course, and you can specify a pattern that will be matched, a priority that's used to distinguish between two simultaneously matching permission.
Can I make a comment? I'm sorry to interrupt. It's kind of weird to have it under new. My inclination would not to make it. I mean, it's fine if it's a content item. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I agree.
If you want it to be a content item, it's your decision. But not making it creatable, but putting it under its own menu would probably be better.
Yeah, I fully agree. I was just lazy to create a separate listing for that. And actually, it shouldn't be creatable once set up because there's an issue with content permissions authorization handler. So once set up, it should be set back to uncreatable. I agree, but I was just lazy.
So now you can put permissions on your permissions. Ooh.
Your dog, I heard you like permissions. So this is a priority to distinguish between two simultaneously matching URL patterns if there are multiple permissions, and you have content permissions, of course. So I made this way because it was very quick to do that, and it works. So let's see it in action. Let's create a secret page and call it secret. And it contains some secret. So let's publish it. And now it should be out here. Oops. And this was my previous test. It's here, and I have a separate browser here with an anonymous user, and of course it's visible here as well. Now let's try to prevent access to that page, but with URL permissions. Now, of course, this is kind of a made-up example, but URL permissions are not there for content item matching because we already have content item permissions for that or content permissions for that. But this is an easy way to secure parts of your site if that part could be defined by URL patterns. And that happened to be a case at Lombic with some of our websites. So that's something very easy to set up. So let's see. I will go here and add the permission to prevent anonymous users to be able to see that secret page. So let's go. Yeah, I already have some titles here. Anonymous users won't be able to see that. And let's define a URL pattern. Well, I haven't cared about the URL pattern not matching for the app path here, so you have to include it here. This was the quick and dirty way, but I assume most of you don't use the app path for real development anyway. And let's prevent anonymous access here, so anonymous users won't be able to view this item. Let's leave the priority as 0 for now. Let's save.
I have two questions here. The first one is, why did you call that checkbox enable content item access control? Because it doesn't look like this is limited to content items, and actually shouldn't be used for content items.
This comes from content permissions, or just content permissions. This here.
Okay.
This is the content permission part.
So that's why it looks it looks like it doesn't belong here. Kind of. I mean, the label is not quite right.
Yeah. So again, this was something to do it quick.
Yeah, okay,
I could have spent 3-4 more hours on
Okay.
making it look better, but essentially it works. So again, here I was just lazy. I could have reskinned this. but this was the default
And
editor for content.
I had a second question, but I forgot.
It's probably better this way. All right. So again, there's an issue with content permissions, content item permissions. If you add this part to a content type that is creatable, it won't work as you expect. I have a bug report open about that. So I will go here and make URL permissions uncreatable. And let's see what happens now. I should be able to see it here, yeah, because I'm logged in as admin. And here I should get a nice access denied. Right, great.
And if you type /content/item/display/15.
Yeah, we had a separate discussion about that. Exactly, that's a separate issue. So again, this is, although now I'm demonstrating it with a content item, this is strictly not for securing single content items. But if you have an area in the site that's where everything is under a URL pattern, like you have a /secret and everything that's a secret is under /secret, that's a good way to prevent access to it. If you have single content items, this is of no use because you have content item permissions that are much better.
Yeah, that default route that we have for content items continues to haunt us, because if you did protect everything under secret, including things that are content items, you still have a way to get to them through their display route.
Yeah, actually I could go here and add a pattern that disables access to that route.
Yeah.
So,
and then I hear people saying, because they also cite it for the other parts of our chart, I do a query and the query returns one of these items and this item is still displayed. I don't blame you. I'm just opening the question that they will ask, because they always ask that, like for the tags, for instance. Even if you protect a page or a content item and it's the result of the query will not remove it from the
So I think this is great to protect resources that are behind the custom controller. But
yeah, this is actually meant for it, but not for content.
Really not for content items. And maybe if there is a way to prevent people from having wrong expectations on content items, but I don't know, you can't really detect if a pattern corresponds to content items, but at least having a big fat warning here that don't use that, don't expect this to protect your content items, because it won't.
Yeah, actually, such a warning, and here is my father.
Hi.
Such a warning would be beneficial, yes. I think I included something similar in the documentation, but here I could include it here as well.
Zoltán.
Yeah.
What if it's just for routes controllers? I mean, what if you, instead of using the URL pattern, simply specify action name, controller name, area name, and maybe some route values?
Yeah, exactly. That's why the module is named route permissions, although it currently just includes URL permissions, because I want to implement something like this in the future. This was just the quick way to solve the overhead issue, but that would be certainly something I would like to implement in the future, because it solves a different issue and it's more generic in a way. So thanks for the input. That's exactly something that could be here as well.
Okay.
One last thing here, just to demonstrate the priority. It's quite simple, but I will go here and demonstrate it. Oops. I will make the route permissions, the URL permissions item again creatable. So that's the game you have. Oops, I made it draftable. It should be creatable. And I will create an equivalent pattern, but a different permission and a different priority. So let's go here, and anonymous users can access secret. The URL pattern will be the same, but the priority will be higher. So higher priority here means a higher number. And we will let anonymous users access this route. So if I save it now, and again I go here and make URL permissions uncreatable, here I should be able to access it. And I do, because the permission here that's more forgiving, or rather that's enabling anonymous users to access that URL has a higher priority. So if I go here and change the priorities, so the one letting access has a lower priority, and the one preventing access has a higher priority, I should get an access denied again. And I get it. So that's a module about. It's really not for content item securing, just if you have something that's distinct in your site, and you can make that distinction with URL patterns. So thanks for watching.
Very nice, thanks. Do we have any other demos?
I have new websites.
Okay, new websites.
Well, maybe old, but they are new to me. Nature Life-International. Apparently about nature life. Makati, Philippines.
Hold on, we can't see your screen yet.
Oh.
At least I can't.
Just care
there.
about
Can you also copy the URLs?
I can't paste them. I can show them to you, but I can't paste them.
I need that in an email.
Because Linky is preventing it. So this one, Natural Life. This one, Makati in the Philippines. It's a town, a city, apparently. I like the flat menu. Yeah, nice effects you don't see. So this one also is interesting. Got a lot of traffic in Argentina. They just have JavaScript issues apparently. It's triggering the translate all the time. Transas.ru, nice website. It's in Russian. I can't translate it. Ooh, it works. This one from, how do you say in English? Lithuania. If I translate, Latvian. EU services, again, nice flat menu. I like it. Sima.dk, simple one. And this one. But I think it's an old one. So a bunch of new websites.
Cool. So there was a discussion on the Codeplex forums about whether everything should be a content item, and I think we should discuss it today. My position is that no, everything shouldn't be a content item. Content items have been designed with a very specific goal in mind. They have a lot of things around them: drivers, life cycles, composition model, etc. And the temptation here is to reuse that composition model that we have on content items because it's nice for things that you wouldn't necessarily consider functionally to be contents, such as a workflow, which really is a process, or I don't know, a rule, or there were a few other examples.
Or URL permission.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good one. So actually we have made the mistake, well, I consider it a mistake, at least, to make some things content items because we wanted to benefit from some of the advantages. In particular, when we made rules content items, we did it for only one reason, which was to get import-export on them.
And because there was no way to import-export them without having a content item.
Yes. And later, Sebastian added the possibility to import and export things that are not content items. And my position is that this is the right approach. It's to have a way to apply those cross-cutting concerns to things that are not necessarily content items, rather than artificially making something a content item. Yeah, we can also talk about whether there should be a generic way of doing that, whether there should be a composition mechanism that is not content items, etc., etc. So this is more or less my position. I'd like others to present their own vision of things, maybe starting by Zoltán.
Yeah, I still have no issues with having, for example, workflows as content items. What I proposed is the thing we have talked about, I think, only with Sebastian earlier, is to have a flag for content items or something like this, content types, that makes them modifiable in a limited way. So, for example, users wouldn't be able to remove content types that are crucial to the system, e.g. taxonomy term content types that still belong to taxonomies. Otherwise, I see no issues with having or with handling things in the system as content items if we want to use several services from content items, not just import-export, but also permissions, dynamic permissions, item-level permissions, or there was a
audit trails on things that are not content items. You will. So we will have to expose an API for audit trails that is not specific to content items. Just a side note to what you just said.
And also, on the opposite, audit versioning is not audit trail. So having a content item doesn't make it audit trailed.
Yeah, I mentioned these two separately, so and or versioning.
And what about workflow parts? So if it were a content item, you would have some sort of workflow part. Would that make sense? So that you could create your own types, and then that suddenly is a workflow? Zoltán?
I think if it made sense in any way, let's assume that there is a scenario for it, then it should probably also be a stereotype.
Well, regarding Sipke's remark, we have several types, several parts in the system that only make sense for certain scenarios, and practically those are not attachable. So I don't see an issue with that.
Well, it's not really that there would be an issue with it, a technical issue that would make something impossible. I think the content item infrastructure is so flexible that you could actually bend it to do pretty much anything, but it's not because it's possible that you should do it. That's what we're really discussing, I think.
Yeah, the reason why I'm on this opinion that workflows should be content items is that I don't see such bending. I've listed several scenarios where it makes sense to deal with workflows as content items, and where it actually makes it less complex, the workflows module. So apart from being able to mark content types as secrets, but that's needed otherwise as well, I see no bending here.
Well, as I said, I do, because there is a lot of stuff around content items that actually doesn't make sense for a workflow.
Yeah.
And of course, it doesn't have the semantics of a content item, but you know, that's more an aesthetic consideration. But having baggage that comes with it that is not going to be useful for workflows, I think, is a problem. I'd like to have some other people than just you and me chime in and tell us what they think. Sebastian, for example.
I don't think I deliver.
Sipke, maybe?
Well, that's my biggest issue. I'm all about aesthetics, semantics. Semantically, I don't see workflow as being a content item. I don't see issues with it either, but it just doesn't feel right. The same goes for queries. I think that's weird. It's more configuration.
That's why I wrote
content.
There is content, there is configuration. And if we made a mistake that some configuration is right now a content item, that's the mistake. Let's fix the mistake.
I would agree with that, yeah. But I do like, well, being able to reuse a certain infrastructure that we have, like import-export and, audit trail. So it would be nice to be able to use that. But yeah, Bertrand had a nice suggestion. Maybe, yeah, he talked about.
Yeah, I'm actually not completely convinced that we should have something generic that enables that whole category of scenarios. My position is that we should start on specific examples such as audit trails or import-export, and the way it's been done in import-export, I think, is satisfactory. And at least for the short term, I think we should continue with that kind of approach, where when we think something is a cross-cutting concern that should apply to more than content items, we make sure that it is possible. Because that was the mistake that we made with import-export at first, is to limit it to content items, which led us to make mistakes on rules, for example. So something to keep in mind when we design new services of that sort, to make sure that they apply to more than content items. That's my takeaway. Yeah, before making something a content item, we should really discuss it here and wait until we have really a good analysis of the situation before we make a decision. But I'm really firmly against deciding that everything is a content item.
Daniel is discovering Orchard. This is so disappointing.
I don't think either that everything should be content items, but I do think that particular workflows should be content items. By the way, turning your previous question, previous remark a bit over, I would consider something that should have audit trail as content. Because if you want to have audit trail for something, then users are routinely modifying that. You want to track that, so
that doesn't make it a content item.
Sorry?
It doesn't make it a content item. For example, if somebody modifies a permission, for example, you want to know about that. You want to know who made that modification. But that doesn't make it a content item.
Yeah, the permission is a good point. I agree.
Okay. So I think your points about specific services such as audit trail and what was the other one? Permissions, was it? We should really keep that in mind and make sure that those apply to more than content items. I think that should be our first takeaway from this discussion.
And maybe there is a way to ease the audit trail for content items and ease the whatever for content items if we can do that, like we do for import-export. There is an import-export infrastructure, and we have made shortcuts for content items to be easily exportable.
Yeah, of course.
Because we are erasing it. Same thing for audit trail. We could have an audit trail module, an API, and make the default implementation for content items. So as long as you create a content item, it will be audit trail. But there is an API you can reuse in anything.
Yeah, or it could be a part, or...
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Anything else?
I tweeted 1.7 is an RC, and I changed the name because Sipke said it was a beta, and I didn't like it. So it's not like he said it was a beta. It's like it's right.
Candidate.
I tagged it beta. So, but yeah, I just
release candidate makes more sense.
It's more than a beta. It's maybe as buggy as a beta, but that would be the RC.
Okay. We are not doing triage, are we?
No, I did all week.
Yeah, exactly.
There is nothing proposed for 1.7. So, triage done. We'll need now to do triage for 1.7.1.
Yeah.
Or retriage for 1.7.1.
Yeah, but that's let's do that after that thing is released completely. Okay. So if there is nothing more to discuss for today, let's adjourn and we'll talk again next week.
So next week I won't be here. Well, I assume I won't. No, it would be too early even. So because we need to discuss also the next steps, next priorities, what we want in 1.8 and what we want to fix. So big triage.
So you're gone for the whole week?
Yes.
I mean, we could take a break next week and It's the summer.
I will see. Maybe I can join still. I see.
Okay.
I'll try.
Okay, well, so Benedek is mentioning that there are 30 issues on proposed status. So what you were saying is that there are known that are assigned
Active
to the
for
1.7 release,
yeah.
but yeah, there are proposed.
Even this morning I fixed something which was critical, so I followed all the bugs. And
Okay.
so if we have no feedback in the next few days, 1 or 2 days, we'll start the publishing process on the gallery and on our chart, release notes and everything.
Yeah. Actually, you're going to start the WebPI process early, maybe. Or you only
I will
want
wait
to
one
do
day.
it? Yeah. Okay.
Because we never know.
Okay. And we are making the release the default only when WebPI is done?
Yes,
or?
yes.
Okay.
When WebPI is done, other people will try to download it on the gallery and say, hey, I just get 1.6.1. Unless they are very slow, which they are never.
Anymore. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.
We may talk next week, or maybe not. We'll see. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Yes.
Bye everyone.
Bye-bye.